Hi everybody, it's Lisa from SuttonsDaze, and today we are going to be pickling Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts. Have you ever had pickled Brussels sprouts? Last year was the first year I'd ever tried them, and we fell in love with them. They are so good. We add a little bit of heat to them just to kind of kick it up a little notch, but in normal Lisa fashion, I went to the farmer's market, and I ended up getting this. So it's that full. There's like over 10 pounds of Brussels sprouts here, okay? So there's a lot of Brussels sprouts to do. But I have 3 dozen jars pulled out and sterilized, specifically for canning. And and what I was going to can didn't arrive. So we switched it to Brussels sprouts. Are you ready? This is going to be a blast. Let's go. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to soak the Brussels sprouts. We want to take them and cut them in half. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to get your Brussels sprouts and you're going to cut them in half and then just drop them into a bowl or a pot with lightly salted water. Now, this is an 8-quart pot, give or take, and I've got it filled about halfway, and I added a tablespoon of salt. So you don't want a lot of salt, you just want enough, and what that does is if there's anything that's hanging out in there, it helps get it out. It's kind of like cleaning it and opening it up, so it's going to be really good. So we're going to get the pot filled up with these Brussels sprouts, and see, you're not even trimming them. You're leaving them just like this, okay? Just like that, and then just popping them in there. And the reason that we're having them is, I mean, if they were all this size, then I would say, hey, peel off the outer edges and pop them in there. But they're not. They're bigger. I mean, this one's significantly bigger, as you can see, okay? So we're just going to have them, and that makes it easier to get them into the jars. You get more into your jars that way. And the brine actually soaks into the Brussels sprouts really nice. Okay, so we'll be back after I've got these all halved, or at least that pot full. So all of the Brussels sprouts have been halved and they're soaking in lightly salted water. I'm actually draining the smaller pot because I ended up doing all of them instead of just one pot at a time. So I'm draining the other one, making sure that they're as well drained as they can be, because all cabbages kind of hold on to their water a little bit, so shake them out really good. I'm adding, now the garlic that I have is older, so I'm adding 2 to 3 cloves of garlic per pint. You guys, honestly, normally if I had a really fresh garlic, I would add 1 clove per pint or 2 cloves per quart, okay? But I popped 3 in here because number 1, I like garlic, and number 2, like I said, it is older. Now we're going to go through to each one of these, and we're going to add in a 1/4 teaspoon of red hot crushed red pepper. Crushed red pepper. And we're going to make sure that those are in all the jars, okay? And then we're going to start filling up the jars with the halved Brussels sprouts. You want to fill them up to 1 inch of headspace. Give them that 1 inch of headspace, because we are going to process these just like you do pickles, which makes it nice because then they are shelf stable. My favorite kind of food. And we can get this all done at a pretty quick clip. On the stove, while I'm doing all of this, making a mess, on the stove, I have, start off with, however many Brussels sprouts you do. If you're only doing a couple pounds, do 5 cups of water, 5 cups of distilled white vinegar, 5% acidity, and 7 tablespoons of pickling salt, okay? You're going to mix that into a pot and bring it to a light medium boil. Once that reaches that light medium boil, the salt's all dissolved, and yeah, we'll come back to that part. So right now I'm going to get these filled. So you've never had pickled Brussels sprouts, huh? Neither had we. There's actually a company in northern Michigan. I don't remember the name of them. Troll something. If I can find it, I'll put it in the description below. And they were the first time that we had tried pickled Brussels sprouts. And it was strictly by accident. You know, it was chance, because our friends that own the store said, oh my gosh, you have to try this. And Phil came home with a jar and he's like, oh my gosh, you have to try this. Okay. And so of course I tried it, and wow, they are really, really good. So at that point I said, next year we are pickling Brussels sprouts. Now, none of my seeds, even though I tried, none of my seeds really took off indoors. I might try to direct sow them outside. I think I have some more seeds. So I went, because I was at the market and they didn't have my mushrooms, I ended up talking to him and getting a deal on a bulk purchase of Brussels sprouts instead. I have to admit, I normally wouldn't pickle this many, but I'm going to give away quite a few as gifts or, hey, try this, bring me back the jar kind of thing. So we're going to get these all put into the jars, and hopefully I have enough jars clean or I have enough Brussels sprouts for the jars I have out. We will find out when we return. We have the jars all stuffed. They've got an inch of headspace, and now we're going to pour the hot brine over them. Whew. Okay. Let's see how many I get out of this particular pot. So I have to keep track of where I was. Trying not to make too much of a mess. Pardon me. So you're going to want your lids in hot water, which I have. I don't know if you can see it here, but I have them over here. So they're soaking up that hot water while we get these all filled. While we hopefully get these all filled. And sometimes you have to really cram those things in there, rearrange them. It's kind of like a really great puzzle, making sure you're getting as many Brussels sprouts in there as you can, okay? Okay, I'm going to need to make another pot of brine. But that's okay. When you're done putting them in and you have that space, we're going to go through and we're going to debubble them. As much as we can, we're going to debubble them. And especially with something like Brussels sprouts, where bubbles can hide, you want to make sure that you do everything you can to get those bubbles out so that you have a successful canning session. Okay, now that these are all full, we're going to take the time, we're going to debubble them. Now the nice part is, with the hot water, okay, these will all go down. You might be able to add one or two to them, but you want to get in there, you want to make sure that you're getting the bubbles out. So you want to check each one. I'm kind of doing this quickly just for video's sake, but I'm going to go through and debubble each one, really work it over, and return. Don't rush through the debubbling phase. Seriously, take your time with that particular one, that particular process. Part of the process, thank you, because you really want to make sure that those are all debubbled. It's really important. Okay, now we're going to take and we're going to use vinegar and we're going to wipe off the rims of all of the jars, make sure that there is nothing on them, that they are all clean, and this is an additional opportunity for you to be able to check for any imperfections in the rim of the jar, because again, that will cause issues and it will not allow you to seal properly. Okay, so once that is all done, we are going to take our lids out of the hot water. We're going to add these on. Did I get these ones? Yes. Okay. Okay, now we are going to get our lids and we're going to place those on there. Come on, let go. One at a time. When you put the rings on, you want them to be finger tight. Remember, don't crank them. And while we're doing all this, we have water that is coming to a boil on the stove so that we can water bath it. Make sure that you have something in the bottom of your pot. If you don't have a typical water bather, you'll see I'm using my stock pot. So I make sure that I have a rack on the bottom because the jars never want to sit right on the bottom. Come on, separate. Oh, okay. Water bath canning is my least favorite form of canning. It really is. Pressure canning just takes a lot of the guesswork out. But we are going to water bath can these for 10 minutes. So we'll be back when we get these all going. Oh, let me show you real quick. Finger tight. Okay, let me do this one. We'll do one of the ones in the front row. Okay, so we got that one. Finger tight. Whoop. Finger tight. There you go. You're not cranking it on, you're just putting it on there snug. Okay? Okay, so it's been in there now for 10 minutes. Oh, and now we're going to pull them out. Woo-hoo-hoo. See, and they shrunk up a bit. Got a little bit of space at the bottom, and that's perfectly normal, okay? Absolutely normal. That happens with almost anything that you can, or, you know, water bath like this. Okay. We're going to switch those out until we get them all water bathed. Should be, I think, 2 more loads. I'll be back to show you the finished product. There we go. That's all of them. Plus a big one. These just came out. Look at them. Just love it. They look scrumptious. I'm going to wait 2 weeks before I pop these open. See how they taste. Okay, so maybe a week. Maybe next Saturday. But obviously, for the most part, they're going to wait more than 2 weeks. But the longer you wait, the more that the flavor infuses throughout the Brussels sprouts. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Okay. So now I'm going to get these all covered up, let them come to temp real nice. I've been hearing popping going like crazy. There's a nap in my afternoon. I think starting right now. Nap sounds good, doesn't it? It's a good thing for a gray, wet, rainy Saturday. Pickling Brussels sprouts and taking a nap. Okay, so remember, if you like what we do here, please hit that like, subscribe, and share. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook. And until the next time, be safe. Bye-bye.